Ooh, ooh, ooh.
All right. Awesome. So I think maybe I'll give it a couple minutes just because we're just hitting that 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do have a slide to share with everyone with all of the questions on there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna get my screen set up. Okay, it looks like our chat feature is working, which is nice.
Sweet. All right, then I'll go ahead and get started and then just kind of catch people up as we go. So in honor of Black History Month, I decided to present a project that was a little healing, that paid homage to our history as enslaved people at one point and now as freed people. And so I decided to make a word star. And hopefully everyone at home is following along to make their own. If not, then they can do this at a later time. It's a fun outlet. You're using color, you're using pen, glue, and then whatever pieces of paper that you have at home. So I have done two different stars. I've done one with a longer piece of paper, just the regular letter stuff. And then I also have one that's made with, let's see if I have it now, as I've moved all my stuff around, made out of a more square, stocky piece of paper. It doesn't matter. It'll turn out cool at the end. I really enjoyed doing this project. For the beginning of this project, we're going to start with our piece of paper, and we're going to draw a circle that's around mid-size. It doesn't have to take up the whole sheet. Just like this. And then before we get started on color or anything else, just to kind of let everyone know as we go, this project is asking questions about ourselves and about who we are and kind of personal questions. If at any point you feel uncomfortable or the question kind of pulls you out of your element, you're kind of shaken or taken aback by it, please feel free to take a break. They should be simple questions, but it does require a little bit of thought in order to make this project personal. They might be difficult or uncomfortable to answer, especially if you're in a group of people. So it is all right if you don't want to share either. I will share a little bit about myself just because it's part of the process that I've created for this art project. But I have a presentation that I have for you all that has all of our questions on it, so you can all take a look as we go. And we can have a little quiet time too, so you have time to work in silence and you don't have to hear me talk the whole time. Let me get that pulled up for you. All right, so let's make a star together. On your first circle, that mid-sized circle that we drew together, if we could all think of something that we are afraid of or something that we've that's made us uncomfortable, you're going to go ahead and draw or write that experience out. If it's easier for you to write a story about it, you can do that. As long as it fits inside of that circle, we're going to take a few minutes just to let out and talk about things that kind of make us uncomfortable or things that we're a little bit afraid of. If it's just one thing, you can drop big in the middle. You should use your pen for this. This is a kind of background addition to what we're going to make later, but it's the base for us to build off of. So we're going to talk about what are some things that you're afraid of. So I will be quiet just for a moment. I'll let you all think and brainstorm and fill that space in.
I hate to interrupt, Ebony. After
Yes.
this question, if you could just recap the supplies. We have some more people joining us as you're going through the lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're just joining us, the supplies that we're using today are 2 pieces of paper. They could be letter cardstock, regular printer paper. It could be more heavy duty cardstock. It could be, I've done one with square, just like this. Whatever you have, lined paper works as well. But on our first piece of paper, we're going to draw a mid-sized circle with a pen. And we're filling that in with the question that you'll see on your screen, which is what are some things that you are afraid of? The other supplies that you'll need for this are some type of a marker. I like the Crayola washable markers or anything that's light enough for you to see writing over the top of. Glue, I would prefer stick glue. I don't have stick glue today, so I'm using my purple school glue, and then a scissor. So we're going to do some cutting. That should be all that we need for now. We'll talk about how to zhuzh this and make it a little more unique and other things that you can do with it at the end, but those are the basic for what we need right now. I'll give you all a few more minutes just to fill that out. All right. So as you finish this question, If you can take that first sheet, put it to the side. This will come into play later on, but for right now, we're going to take those spheres and we're going to put them on a back burner for now. On your second sheet of paper, we are going to draw a much smaller circle. On this circle, should be around that size. You're going to put I am right in the middle of it. I am. Just like that. Awesome. And then using your markers, we're going to create rays of color coming off of it. I would suggest not using your black. And if you're going to use blue, being a little bit light on the blue, or if you're really in love with those colors, doing really thin lines. The reason for that is because we're going to be writing and answering questions over the top of our colors. If you're not sure what colors to use, using a rainbow of colors works out, or picking out your favorite color and just drawing that with just a singular color works as well. So today I'm going to use pink and yellow and orange. I think I'm just going to use 3 colors today. And we're going to, from the center of your I am circle to the outside of your paper, we're going to draw lines just like that. And you're going to go all the way around. So we're making a star, and stars shine at different angles and different brightness. We're going to fill this up with different rays of color. So once again, if you're just joining us, right now we are adding color to our I am circle, just like that. If you're just joining, we're going to be using 2 pieces of paper. Our first piece of paper has a larger circle, like this, and it has words that talk about things that scare us in the middle of it, things that we're afraid of. The question should be on your screen right now, so you can still join us for that portion of it and prepping that. Once you've filled in that circle with those things that you're afraid of, we're putting that to the side and we're working on adding a lot of rays of color to the outside of our I am bubble. Picking out your favorite colors, staying away from maybe some of the darker colors. I know I have a gray, so I might use gray just because I can see over the gray when I'm writing. But I'm going to stay away from black for now. I might add black at the end when I know that I've filled in all of my answers. So if you really want to use black for this, maybe use it last after we've gone through our questions. And just another kind of message, just a little warning or a disclaimer. I will be asking questions that might make you a little uncomfortable. They might be a little triggering. They all have to do with you looking at yourself. That's the part of the process of making this word stars. It's personal for you. If at any point you feel uncomfortable or you're not sure how to answer that, I've gotten to some of these questions and thought, wow, I really don't know the answer to that. It's okay for you to skip that question and continue to do the other questions. Or if you're like, no, I really don't feel like even thinking about this today, it's okay for you to drop this and maybe come back to it later, or to think, maybe I should think about that not in an art project way. That's totally all right. It doesn't offend me. Art is a personal experience, and I understand part of that experience can be a little uncomfortable. Awesome. So as we finish up adding the rays, there's no right or wrong answer to how many rays that you need to put on here, how many colors you need to use, what size or length they need to be. If I were to imagine creating a star, then I would want it to be a lot of different shapes and a lot of different rays coming off of it. And I'd like to see a lot more color. But these are the colors that I really felt like using today. So mine is starting to look like this. All right. And as we finish this up, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our first question. So thinking of answering the question with I am blank, our first question today is, who are you in your family? So I will give an example. So I am a daughter, I am a niece, I'm a sister, I'm an auntie. So those descriptive words are going to go on the outside of my I am bubble, and I'm going to choose a color to write them on, just right over the top. So just like that for me, I'm going to write them just on where the colors are. If you prefer not to and you want to use your white space to write on top of your colors, you can do that as well. That also comes out really cool at the end. But we're going to fill those in. Sometimes I like to think of the description of myself and think of a color that relates to it. So I put auntie and I put it on one of my pink lines because my niece is, I think, just turning 11, and she's my first niece, and I love her, and she loves pink, and I love pink. So we're going to share that color on this star wheel today.
Hi, everyone. It looks like we briefly lost our instructor. They may be having some internet problems. But in the meantime, maybe I'll just share what I've been working on until Ebony is able to get back in. I have my little circle. I've been writing about how I'm a grandchild and a big sister. So all of those different things kind of play in. We have some of our participants sharing some colors in the chat. Angela is using orange and purple and blue and green. We have Joy using brush markers in violet, orange, and red. All very beautiful colors.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Yes. All of a sudden, everything dropped and I was talking to myself. So,
Well, glad to have you back.
all right, wonderful. All right, I will share my screen once again. Technology today. Let's see. We were on our first question, which is, who are you and your family? And we were filling in those I am questions with our pen over our colors. Awesome. And if you're just joining us, we were starting off with a larger circle in the middle of our, there we are. We're starting with a larger circle in the middle of our first sheet of paper. And this one has details about things that we're afraid of. So if you missed that first question, that's the first thing that you should start with. Answering those questions that are a little bit personal, the things that make you uncomfortable or the things that you are afraid of. And then after that, we are moving on to making our I am star. By putting a smaller circle or a smaller bubble in the middle that says I am. And then as we go, I will be asking you all questions that pertain to who you are, and you're going to be filling them in on the rays of color that you've decided to put on the outside of your star, of your bubble. Moving on, our next question, and I think that I went too far, 1, 2, there we are, is who are you at work or school? So I am a teaching artist. I am also a creative mind, a problem solver. I am a hard worker. I am a networker. So think of the I ams that you have or the titles that you have when you're at work or at school. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing as we did with our last question and fill those I am questions out onto the colors that we have coming off of our bubble. All right. So as we finish that up, we'll go ahead and go to our next question. If you are onto our next question and you remember another answer for the previous questions, go ahead and fill those in. You have plenty of time. A lot of times when I answer another question, I'll go, oh yeah, I do that also at work, or I also do that in my family, or I'm also that person in this space. Feel free to, as you're thinking about and discovering those things, or at least solidifying those thoughts in your mind and putting them on your paper, that you're honoring that thought and going ahead and filling that into that space. So our next question is, who are you with your friends? So we've talked about who are you with your family, who are you in your family, who are you at work, and now we're talking about who are you with your friends. All right. So as we finish that question up, I will go ahead and go to our next question. Just in review, if you're just joining, we have started with 2 pieces of paper, markers that you can draw over the top of. I have done this with watercolor as well, but markers dry faster. And as a project that we're doing all together as a collective, or that you might be doing later on, this might be faster for you all. We're also using glue today. I have regular school glue, but if you'd like to use a glue stick, that works as well. And then a scissor and a good pen. And our first piece of paper, what we did was drew a medium-sized circle, and we wrote down things that scare us, things that make us uncomfortable, and we put them all inside of the circle. We then moved on to create that bubble. I believe that we're on our 3rd question, moving on to our 4th question. But we drew a bubble, we put I am in the middle, and then using your favorite colors or a rainbow of colors, or maybe just one color, we drew lines to show the rays that our star shines from. And we are answering our question so that we can fill in those rays and what they mean to us. So we've asked the first question, which is, who are we in our family? Our second question, which is, who are we at work? We're just finishing up this 3rd question, which is, who are we with our friends? And now our 4th question is, what are we good at? What are we good at? It could be just one thing. It could be a load of things. But we're going to go ahead and keep filling this out. I'll go ahead and add that if you are writing these and excuse me, and you run out of colored lines to write this on or raise, go ahead and fill more in. If not, and you're like, no, I love the color how it is, use the white space that you have as well. It can also add interest to your piece. Not everything has to be cloaked in color if you don't want it to be. But I've run into a problem on mine where I might need to add a few more lines of color. All right. On to our next question. So we've answered what we're good at. We've answered who we are with our friends, who we are at work and at a school, and answered who we are with our family. Our next question is, what do you like about yourself? What do you like about yourself? It's okay if some of these answers are the same. Some of the things that you do with your friends can also be some of the things that you really like about yourself. I like to say that I am a goofy person with my friends, and I like that portion about myself as well. So I might write that twice. I might write it in bold. I might write it on the same line. This is Francina. All right. So as we finish up this question here, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next question. That question is, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? All right, wonderful. If you're just joining us, we are just onto some of our final questions for our word star. We started off by collecting 2 pieces of paper. On our first piece of paper, we put things that we are afraid of. We drew that and wrote those things in a circle, and then put this I'm afraid of piece of paper off to the side. Right now we're working on our star piece, which is our I am star. So if we draw a bubble and put I am in the middle of it, as we answer these questions, we're filling in the colored portion that's just around that I am bubble with our answers. So one of our first one was, who are we with our family or in our family? Who are we at work? Who are we with our friends? We asked, what are we good at? And now we're asking, what are we grateful for? You all might have heard another voice in my room. I'm sharing office space with my mother. I'm grateful for the fact that we can quarantine together and work in the same space and not get on each other's nerves too badly. But those are things that I'm grateful for. So thinking about things that are going on in your life that you're grateful for, people that you're grateful for as well, and finding ways to answer that I am statement, and writing them down from the middle to the end of your colored rays. I'll give us all a few more minutes. So in answering these questions, I keep jumping ahead there. In answering these questions about the things that we're grateful for and the roles that we have created a star that is my hope, that is a reminder of our uniqueness as a person. It reminds us of the support that we have in walking through this world. It reminds us of the things that make us strong, that make us our own individual, and the things that connect us to other people in our friend list, in our families, things that connect us to our coworkers, our bosses. So that is the purpose or intention for writing these the way that we have. The next step that we're going to go ahead and take is with our scissors, we're going to go ahead and cut out our star. I have done this a couple of ways. You can either cut a circle out and just go all the way around and keep all of that white space there, or on other projects, I have also gone in and cut out each individual leg of the ray of the star. So this is another example. I cut it out and I cut each section out, and I kept a few different colors on the inside just because I wanted it to be a rainbow. That's what I did for this one in particular. I've cut half the circle out and then kept some of the legs in for another project or example that I've done. So this portion is out, and then this portion is just a circle. It'll work either way, whichever you feel like doing creatively today. Whatever makes you feel good, or whatever aesthetic that you want this to have. I think I'm gonna start cutting these out though for this particular one, just because I used some different colors, and I kind of like when it shakes a little bit. We will be gluing everything down too. That would be the next step. So if you're doing this particular style of cutting, you might have to glue each one of those rays down, or you can just glue the middle and keep everything kind of moving and flowing. It all depends on what you'd like to do. All right. As we finish up the cutting of our paper and kind of figuring out what style we want this star to be, because there's so much color in it, it kind of looks like a firework as well, which I think is pretty cool. What we're going to do is we're going to take our first sheet of paper, the one that we have our fears on, the things that we're afraid of, and we are going to use this as a base for our star to go on top of. It's a little symbolism of us using those resources that we have, our talents, our connections with our friendships and our work and our family, the things that we're good at, things we're grateful for, using all of those things to outshine those things that kind of make us scared or uncomfortable. Kind of a reminder of the fact that we've made it this far by using stars as well. When we get to the end of this, I will explain the reason why I chose this and how it pertains to the exhibit that we have at the Art Institute for the next year. I believe we're got an extension on it, which is really, really awesome. But if you are just joining, or you joined in the middle, or you have any questions, let us know in the chat. This is a fun piece to do in private as well. Yes.
We have a question from the chat. If you could stop sharing your screen for a moment so that the class can see your larger work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, so I have a few examples for you all. There's no wrong way to make a star. They shine as bright as you'd like them to shine. They are as high in the sky as you'd like them to be. When you are creating this piece of artwork, I have some examples here. I made this one and I cut out just the full side of this, and then I kept these legs out where they kind of move. I thought the movement was really nice. I've also made this one. I think this one was my first one. It's on a shorter, stockier piece of paper. And same things, I cut all the individual pieces out of it. I like to use a lot of color. I've done this with other people and they've used just a couple of colors or just a few colors. It is all personal to you and your process. Right now, the star that I'm working on, I'm gonna cut out all of the pieces and I'm kind of grouping some of the colors together so I don't have to cut out each individual one. But that's my personal process for this. If you're like, no, I'm gonna cut a circle, I don't wanna do all that, that is okay. It always turns out pretty nice, no matter what your cutting style is. Do we have any more comments at all?
We've had a couple of comments in the chat, sharing of colors, and a couple of our colleagues at the museum just saying how awesome this is.
Oh, sweet. I'm glad that you all are enjoying it so far, and hopefully this is just a little reminder piece that you can kind of put in maybe an office area. I put these in different parts of my room. Doing this project has helped me on low days where I have the quarantine blues and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a niece. I should maybe call my auntie and see how she's doing today. Or, you know what? I really haven't heard from my best friend today. I should definitely call her and see how she's doing. So I use these as little reminders for myself of those connections that I have. And it's been a lot of fun sharing this with everyone. All right, I think I'm just to the end here. And if you all are to the end, and please don't wait for me because I get I get very focused on my cutting. There's something about scissors that just brings that perfectionist out in me, and I just want them to be cut in a straight line. I don't know, it's just a thing that I have. If you are ready to glue that sheet of paper down, please do. We are covering up that first piece of paper that we made that has our fears on it, things that we're afraid of, things that made us uncomfortable. It's symbolic of us getting through hard times by using our light and using our connections. If you're cutting the different rays of your star out like I am, you'll notice that you can see some of the fears underneath it, but you may not be able to read the whole of what that fear is. Your light shines bright in these spaces and it doesn't get rid of it. It's very hard to get rid of certain fears or certain feelings of being uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a bright outlook on life, or that you can't lean on some of those people and places and situations that you're grateful for. right, this is my very last one. I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down over the top. The other reason why we're using a separate piece of paper for this is because it makes it a little bit easier to hang up into a space. But if you get to the end of this and you're like, I am not really a square person, you can cut around the corners of this and make the whole thing a circle if you like, or an oval. You could cut it and make it a triangle, or just cut out that round circle of fears before you paste everything on if you'd like. I've had people add glitter, or if you go to like the dollar store or other places, sometimes they have like diamond wrap like this. And I've had people cut out the individual diamond wrap and lay them in between. You can make this as intricate and detailed as you'd like it to be for your project. You can bling it up or you can dress it down. But the process of writing it out, I find, is very therapeutic. And for me, really spoke to what the exhibition was in my eyes and why I chose it for us today. Yeah. Are there any other questions before I go into a little bit of history or the whys?
No, you are all good to go on. I just want to give you a time check so that you have enough time. It's 10:52.
Perfect. Well, I have one last slide to share with you all. So I chose stars to share and for us to create today because in my history and conversations with my grandparents about slavery and about, as a whole, our intimate history with it. We talked about constellations or celestial wayfinding as a skill that doesn't require you to know how to read or write. And so if you all look up in your free time, if you have the interest in it, The Drinking Gourd, it is a song and is also a book that I grew up listening to and reading when I was young. And it talks about using the drinking gourd, which is the Big Dipper, to navigate yourself north using the Northern Star, which is a part of the Little Dipper. And that it was a song that was shared among slaves who were escaping slavery and who had to travel mostly at nighttime. And they would hop from one safe house to the next safe house. And I thought that in 2021, with all of the different cultural changes, all of the different social unrest that we have, that it's important for us to remind ourselves of who our connections are, who our loved ones are, the things that we're grateful for, and to pay homage to the stars in the sky for helping thousands of slaves escape before emancipation, before the end of slavery. So that is my why. I put a little depiction up here of the actual constellations. This I found at a national park that they were using for their Black History Month piece, which I thought was really cool that a park would use that. And just to share a little bit of my background and my childhood, hearing these songs and listening to these stories. Yeah. So that is all I have for you all. Thank you all for making art with me. Thank you for being patient with my technical difficulties and being vulnerable. If you were able to finish all of this and it made you think a little bit differently about yourself or made you feel a little bit stronger, this is just a really fun, simple way for us to remind ourselves of who we are as individuals and how powerful that is in itself. And how simple art can be. You don't have to be a college level mastered artist to make something beautiful and meaningful. So yes, thank you again for having me today.
Thank you so much, Ebony, for this lesson. I just wanted to share the piece that I made during,
Yeah.
and I absolutely loved the activity. I still got to glue it down, but
That looks
I
awesome.
expanded and kept it connected. So thank you so much.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again.
Awesome. Well, bye everybody.
Bye.
Hope to see you next time.